There you go. And you just talk and it's
Okay.
recording.
Yeah.
You can turn the air on, Gavin, whatever.
No. Right now I'm just waiting for these pages to load.
You can set that over there. I'm sorry.
Let me just-
Recording?
Okay. Yep. Want me to just freestyle something and start it up?
Yeah, once it actually loads. Yeah, okay, yeah, all the plate. So, I didn't have, I just wanted to see what you thought about it, because I didn't really have like a way to format the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to rely on Google Docs, and I wanted to know if you thought it, like, looked actually formatted.
Well, there's different formats you can use for a book. It's definitely possible that this could be a format that would be acceptable. Some people in book formatting would sometimes, like, the margins and how much you indent is depending on what kind of book style you have. And then also, in terms of publication, there's formatting for here, Google Docs or Microsoft Word, but then book design is like another, not everything translates when you push it, like, say, on an EPUB format, say for Amazon or Barnes & Noble. So that's something to be aware of, that the formatting may not.
Yeah, I've like tested that out because I went on
right.
Amazon KDP, but they have a preview option, so you could see everything about it. And if I could pull it up right now, I would. But it seemed, normal.
Worked. It seems very similar. Okay, that's the main thing in terms of formatting that you want to watch out for. Now, for formatting, also, I mean, this gets higher level. It's not essential, but some people, for example, do a drop-down letter as the first letter. It looks like a drop-down letter. You can look that up. But and other little formatting things, a little image. So that's not by any means essential, but it's something that a lot of people like when they have an actual published book.
Oh, so like the big version.
Yeah, the big letter of the first. Is it necessary? No, of course not. But
people like it.
People like it. Yeah. Another thing in terms of the format, well, you do have the page. Again, this is totally optional. You have the page number on the bottom, but some people have a running header as well. For example, sorry, forgetting. This is the Lord's Tale, right? So, so for example, it might say the Lord's Tale and your name, or just the Lord's Tale on the top as a header of every page. Now, of course, people know they're reading a physical book, but there's also the EPUB books. Yes, they know it's your book, but it's just like a design element.
I think I can actually
add
that to this.
Yeah. It's not. Again, these are not essential.
It's just like a thing. Like, depending on what you're doing, you may add it, you may not.
Yeah, exactly. But these little touches can't hurt. It might as well make it look as good as possible, because you only have one chance to make that first impression. So those are I'm just telling you, like, extra things. It's not like there's anything wrong with what I'm seeing majorly. It looks good. So let me see here. I don't see the header right now, but maybe you're saying you already added it?
It's on an offline version, so it's probably going to update once
okay.
It's added back. But I know there is a way to add headers.
Yeah.
To the book.
No, I'm not as familiar with Google Docs because I use MS Word, though I should use this because I'm having issues with MS Word now with this AI stuff. They call it anyway. It's a separate thing. They have added this AI to the MS Word, but now page numbers. Is this an EPUB book? or is this a print book?
A print, like a physical copy.
Physical copy. Okay, good. One of the things I would suggest here on this page.
Because it's like, it's not evened out. And
Yeah, you could. A lot of people. Yeah, it's not evened out. You could eliminate the word page on all of them if you want. It's up to you. But a lot of people put ... and then the number.
I was thinking about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also another thing to think about is if you do an EPUB version, which you might do, right?
Yeah. Most likely.
So you can still have. Really, it's as part of the KDP. Like when you're reading it on there, they have their own. So you don't really need this page. But on my book, which I actually have here, check it out, kids. Because I was just on. Sorry, shameless self-promotion. Now, see here on mine, not that mine's perfect, but you see I had the page like that?
Mm-hmm.
But this page, right, when I got to the EPUB, I just cut out this. It basically looks like that. Now, I didn't really even need this page at all because the contents are on the, I forget what they call it. It's like the navigation guide on the EPUB, so you can see that anyway.
Okay.
But I think aesthetically it looks good. So here you can see this. Sorry, it's a little dark. But so my recommendation is for the EPUB, eliminate the page number. Why? Because you don't really. First of all,
It's like not. It's more of just an aesthetic design.
Right. Also, page number. When you're running an EPUB, some people blow up the font like here. So here they have different size devices, so the page numbers are not going to be relevant. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're relevant on a paper, but on an EPUB, page 6 could be page like 34.
Yeah.
So that would be an important thing for that. It's just like little things like that, but this is good. Why is this coming up? Yeah. Wait, do you have any other questions, or you want to look at the
that
front?
was just my first question. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking here.
Because I still have the
Now, here in terms of, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on formatting. You use this line here.
It's like.
Yeah, I know it's a section break.
Yeah.
Now, some people use what's called a florist. You could look that up. Fleuris. Florist it's called. In like, for example, an asterisk would be one kind. They're basically like little they're little. So again, I'll go by my book. Not that my book is a Bible, but you know what I'm saying. I'm using it as one example that you could follow, and there's many others. So, but I like how it came out. Now, some people just do a space like that on certain stories. I did a space. You can. I don't know if they can see it here. It's too. But anyway, I'm going to show you where later on. So I actually did different on different stories to differentiate, which is kind of non-standard. But this would be a standard, like you see here. They can see 3 asterisks is very common. 3 asterisks. So it's like I had a lot of section breaks because I wanted to, whatever, it's like a new thought or a new. But you can do different ones, different kinds of floors or transitions. Like, see this one, just some religion. It looks like a cross, and then later on. Here, this is like a futuristic sci-fi, so you can see these things kind of look like a little AI-ish or something weird, So I actually thought about it a little bit. Oh, what would fit in with this? This one have diamonds, but usually I stuck with this story has a number. So there's different ways you could do it. There's not really one segue, but usually I don't see a long line like that. But you could do it. It's fine. It's not wrong. But that's just something to think about. If maybe
it was just like a placeholder because I was gonna have that there, or I was going to figure out how to make the story transition smoothly, one or the other. Mm-hmm. But I get what you mean by the asterisk. It looks a lot better than just ...
Yeah, only because this is a different. Unless you make this the same amount, it's a lot of dots. It's okay. It's not bad. But I think the asterisk looks a little better. I don't know. And more, I've seen that more often. Or you can just have an extra space. That does look good too, I have to be honest with you. What I do is, it depends on, part of it is like how hard of a break you want. This is kind of getting into aesthetics really than a rule. I don't know if you find this online, but if it's a little bit more of like, you want to really separate the thought somehow, like this needs some space to sink in, then I'm more likely to use as. But keep it consistent within a particular book or story. So once you've decided, wait, this one's a novel. Oh, this is
Novella-ish.
novella.
Mm-hmm.
So once you these are different stories, so they can be a little different. But this is one project. So whatever you do as your segue, keep it throughout the whole. You want to change within the same project. Now, if you had a book of stories or multiple novellas, and each novella could be different. But whatever you decide, yeah, it should be the same for consistency. That is kind of like industry standard. I've never seen change within, unless there was some like major aesthetic reason, like you wanted to change in the middle or something. You know, I wouldn't change with it.
I think that's all really with the formatting, because I've kept the long line consistent.
Okay, that's
it
good.
Doesn't really change up from there.
Oh, good. Okay, so it's as long as that's very important, that the consistency really adds something, I think. You know. Okay. So, want to go to the next question if you have one?
Yeah, I think my dad's already shown you it, but it's the book cover that I had made by.
I did take a look at the book cover. It was very nice. I thought, oh, can I see it again? Just so.
Yeah, it's this site. They always have the worst ways to sign in. I don't even know why. You gotta it always has to be through Gmail where they sign in. So my dad may have sent it to me.
All right, you want me to look at my phone? Because I think I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to pull it up. I know I have it, but...
Let me try, but I have to go back in my messages.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Okay. It's very impressive, actually. Well done cover. Okay. I don't know if this is going out to his instructor, but I'm impressed. The Lord's Tale, God manners. Well... And right, if I'm recalling, it kind of indicates some fantasy and some religious elements.
Mm-hmm.
The demons. So I liked it. I like this cover a lot. And now, how did you get this through AI or?
It was Milbart. Well, I'm pretty sure that's named Milbart. They just say they make book covers and that they'll design the book cover before you even have to pay. So I was like, I'm not losing anything, and then they designed it, and that's what they produced. And my description was just a medieval peasant standing in a church with an angel coming down. A general idea of it with some.
And they didn't charge. They didn't charge you for it.
They didn't charge for the design like this. Like they'll hand you the design, and when you're satisfied for it, you pay for it. So yes, there is a cost to it.
What is the cost, if you mind asking?
It was like $150, I think.
Okay.
It was on
That's
the
good.
cheaper end overall,
That's
and
good.
I think it was higher quality as well.
I'm have to looking at myself, so you're teaching me something. This is it definitely piques my interest, which is very important with the cover. You know, you're trying to figure out what's going on here, and there is a bit of a modern feel, which is good because some of these religious books can seem too old-timey. Because it has almost like a fantasy kind of vibe. Now, do you have a back cover?
Oh, yeah. It's next image.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if that's going to be able to...
No.
Well, but that's just the introduction that I think I put.
No, that's fine for a back cover. One thing let's look at my back cover. Shameless self-promotion. You're going to need an eventual... ISBN code, which we'll have. So I have a graphic on mine. I have the text too. Now sometimes they say something about the author. Like here, you see there's a little bio of mine.
But that was like for me. That was like an aesthetic choice because the reason why I don't read books is because the authors sometimes
are too self-aggrandizing.
Like The Great Gatsby. Never read it because there's like 30 pages of just the author talking about this stuff. I'm like, I'm not interested in that part.
I see.
So
I see.
I took that.
It could just be short though. Mine's like 2-3 sentences. It's not.
That's reasonable.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like The Great Gatsby, 30 pages. I want to read the story.
Got you. Great Gatsby's a great book. I'm going to slightly disagree with you on that one, but
I agree it's a good book. It's just the like daughter.
Yes.
Just let you know that's a little bit up there. That's the guy. That's the woman that's over the crown and comedy. You're gonna see a blonde-haired woman. That's a little bit. That's the one who runs the loft.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one you get with her. Talk with her when you do your stuff tonight. That's
Okay.
a good one to get with. Okay. Just let you know.
All right. How we doing on time? Is it
There's
going
plenty
well?
of time. I'm keeping an eye on it. Right. How much more time you got?
15 more minutes. And
You should be good.
done. Yeah.
You should be good. I'm keeping an eye on it though.
All right. Thank you.
But, I completely lost track.
Well.
Yeah, I got lost.
The bio, Great Gatsby.
yeah.
And some people put an author photo. I didn't do that either. I see what you're saying, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Other people, I'm just giving the options. Put a blurb that you might try to send out your book to get some kind of review or something, or some kind of blurb
Oh, like the
to help sell it.
ratings.
No, well, that was once it's live on, but that might be above your pay grade at this point. But that helps. Like for mine, I have 2 blurbs on the site from editors, like the editor of a place called Humor Time saying something like he read it in another
And what they
publication
talk about.
across the margin. So they're kind of somewhat credible. Then they're now, does it necessarily mean someone's going to buy it? Not necessarily, to be honest with you. It's a hard sell nowadays, but it does lend some credibility. Because remember, people are seeing many books. They're going to say, Gavin, why should I buy your book when I could buy XYZ? So anyway, you can, of course, your description is good. And what you did there, describing what's in the book is of course part of it, but also why that should be part of your marketing. Like, why should someone read this? Like, so if I was to say to you, why should someone read your book? Do you have? That's also good when you talk to someone. Why? What would you say to them? Can you think of?
Why they should read my book over others?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have an argument for that. It's just if they read the introduction and they like it, I'd say then read it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the best argument I can.
Well, one way to do that is think of how can you connect your book into contemporary topics or things that people care about. Maybe something in the news, maybe something, obviously it's religious. What do people, is there anything they can learn from this book? That's very important.
Mm.
And that can also help you refine the story. Like, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to get across to people, right?
That's the thing. I'm writing this just so people can read. I mean, it's a religious. It's got like a lot of religious things, so there's going to be meaning to it. But mostly, it's just meant to be enjoyable. Like it's meant to be like you could be an atheist or agnostic, and you could read this and be like, "It's pretty cool." I don't agree with it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a pretty cool book, and that's the whole idea behind it.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly there's nothing wrong with that, but think in your mind of how you can even, not saying rewrite it, I'm saying
How could I grab their I don't know, feelings? I
pitch
guess?
it. Okay, I give an example of one of my stories in here, that how I try to pitch it. So Elon, I'll try to keep it short, but I'm giving you an example. Elon Musk has something called Neuralink. It's a company where they're starting to put implants into people's heads to help with Parkinson's, and supposedly it will help people with speech difficulty. And there's much promise for it, but there's a danger with this stuff. And I wrote a story about the danger. It's a futuristic world where everyone's forced to get the implant to have a job, because this implant makes you that much smarter. You can remember all these languages. You have much more intelligence. Think if you had everything in a phone. You can remember. So you're more competent. And if you don't want to get this implant, you can't earn a living, and you end up homeless, which is what happens to this character, and he's ostracized from society. But meanwhile, the people getting this implant are being somewhat controlled by the government, and there's dangers to it. So there's only a few bands of rebels that are not doing the implant, and it's sort of commenting on on the dangers of AI and dangers of some of this technology. So how I pitch it is saying, if you're interested in these issues and technology, this is an interesting story to see what could happen. And hopefully people tie in on that subject. So that's what I'm saying. Something specific about yours. Then where you say, okay, blah, 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 blah.
So how you can connect it to someone's like real life or the real world experience.
Real world experience. And it could be, you're going to church, you're trying to find spiritual meaning. This book can show you the battles we go through, evil, and I'm making this up.
I understand what you're talking about. Best thing, I'd have to plan this out, honestly. But, technically, because I talk about demons and stuff, there's Satanism in the book. The Revelations. If you're interested in magic, I guess that's the best thing I could really do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I even say that in my introduction, that this book isn't meant to be like a religious guide.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just meant to be a story.
Well, there you go. But you can say,
but I can always put, hey, you like magic. You can read this book and it's going to be about
something. Or you tell people, for example, there are many satanic forces out there in this world. Look at this P. Diddy story. Look at what Epstein. Look at look at some of the stuff that's going on in our world. That's pretty dark and disturbing. Well, if you're interested in that and how it can affect man and their spiritual journey, my book might be for you because it deals with a lot of these satanic forces and a lot of in a spiritual way, and how can a person overcome it and not going down that dark path and go towards the light or go towards God and find meaning. I'm paraphrasing, but
that actually is good though. That for future plans I have about my book, that actually is pretty good. Because I do, you know the book Blood Meridian.
Oh yeah, Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah, that you got that terrible guy, and there is like a future story where I have someone as bad as him get like murdered by or get killed by a saint. But I understand what you're talking about. I'd have to plan that out, obviously.
And that is also something that you may face in terms of, because I've faced that in mine, because my book, like this book, has a lot of dark elements. So people have asked me, why do you deal with such dark and disturbing subject matter? And my answer, at least of late, is I'm trying to portray the world as honestly and directly as I can, and some of these elements are in our real world. So also, if I'm telling a story and it's for it to be compelling to someone, a lot of things have to happen, and sometimes to get to the proper character resolution where the character learns something and grows or comes out on the other end and it's real and it's believable, they have to go through a kind of hell. So that's kind of why and also I'm kind of bent that way, but a lot of my stories have these like dark and twisted elements, so that's another thing you can think about. How can you pitch, and what are the questions people are going to ask you, because they're going to ask you all kinds of things, or it's just good to be aware of. Of course, the number one thing is just staying in your process and doing your work. And trying to ignore that especially when you're writing, of course, try to ignore that. But then later, once you're ready, because you're talking about publication and putting it out, you've got to think about those things a little bit. And that will help just how to position it or how to explain it to people. Because remember, people aren't in your head. So they've got to come from another angle, and you've got to try to bring them in a little bit into your world. That's maybe my advice, That
actually is pretty good, because I wasn't even planning for that type of stuff. I'm just.
What's your time look like?
5 more minutes.
Okay. We're gonna get on out of here. He's here.
Huh?
He's here. We're going in there after that again.
Okay.
All right. So basically, what else? Any other questions? You got 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, 5. I gotta think. Is there really the Blood Meridian answers that? Because I was gonna ask, is there like a limit to the violence? But Blood Meridian, that's pretty bad, and that book still got published.
And American Psycho is like some of the most graphic too. So,
Because like I was gonna have a scene where you got the main characters, you got Mark and Abigail, the succubus, and essentially I was gonna make up some reason where Mark has had to stay up for a while. He's pretty exhausted, but eventually he gets him and Abigail gets trapped in some sort of ritual where she is forced to be hung by the neck, and Mark has to hold her up. And the only condition where this keeps happening is if a Satanist just keeps staring at them. So, and the second he looks away, then it's going to stop immediately. She's not going to die. And Mark, the entire time, is just threatening this guy, saying, "I'm going to rip your arm off and beat you to death with it," or something violent.
okay.
And once that, and let's say after a day, he's actually the Satanist is starting to get scared, and he turns away. Ritual ends the second it happens. So Mark dashes towards the guy, rips his heart out, because it's not realistic violence, but it's exaggerated violence. Rips his heart out, so it's still beating, and falls down to the ground, rips his arm off, beats him to death with it, then grabs him by the face, puts him into the ground, and runs that across as fast as he can until that face is just completely gone. And it's like that. That's like a lot of violence for some people. But I mean, is there really a limit? Is what I'm asking. Because I mean, there
is technically no limit. But my one thought, and I think that was an interesting for sure, that got my attention. Certain crowds may not like. You just got to be aware of that. Certain people might not like it. Other people will really like it. That's when you. But
I gotta balance it out.
But I think my one advice with violence and all that would be: is it gratuitous? In other words, is it important for the story for this to happen? And if that's true, and you think that this adds something to the story or to what the character is learning or how the character is progressing, then I think it should be included. If it can be done with less and have the same point, then you can consider that too. Or you can make it you can still say the same things, but in a slightly more subtle way. So it depends on what the whole situation is, what the resolution is, and always try to. You don't have to do that at the beginning when you're writing, because when you're writing, you don't always know exactly where you're going. They have what they call pantser and plotters. Plotters plan it all out ahead, and pantsers kind of go by the seat of their pants and they develop it. I'm more of a pantser myself. Some other people have it all planned before they start writing. But if you are a pantser, you don't always know exactly where it's going. You kind of have an idea, probably, but you're going to figure it out. Once you have that draft out, then you're looking back and saying, what can I pare down? Or what do I need to add? And what is going to help this resolution make the most sense? And what I try to do is always go back to, where does this end? Where does this character find themselves at the end? That is the critical thing. So what you have to do is build up the story so that moment in particular, the beginning is of course very important just to get people reading. But the second most, or maybe in my mind even the most, is the last page, the last thing, the last chapters, where you're really explaining, why did we come on this journey with you? What did you take away? What did you learn? And so, like, for example, if this character needs to go through this and get his heart ripped and this and then,
because the whole point was one of the seven deadly sins is wrath, which is anger, and that is I would say is overly excessive violence for someone even running away, and the whole point is that he's falling into a sin by losing himself through the violence and just through his own anger, instead of humbling himself back down and actually thinking about the situation. That was the whole point of that, of the excessive violence.
Okay.
So, I mean, I haven't wrote this part yet, so it's
but I mean, that sounds good. If there's a point behind it, and it's displaying how he's losing control of his wrath, he's succumbing to one of the deadly sins, and that point is elucidated or subtly. It doesn't have to be spelled out too directly, but it could be, depending on how you want to, that comes down to aesthetics. Or it's implied.
It can certainly be turned out good, just depending on how I explain it, is what you're saying.
A lot of it comes down to the aesthetics, Yeah, I think we're almost at 30 minutes right here, but a lot of it, We had a pretty good talk, I think.
It
We
actually
actually
was,
did.
yeah.
We actually had a pretty good. We actually got pretty deeply involved in this.
Well, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
That's your 30-minute mark right there, Gavin. You good?
Yeah. Well, just one. Just like use my phone.
Oh,
Take
I-
a picture of us just sitting here.
You got it.